Sorry about that. And then following up on that for subsequent career opportunities, so after the time that you graduate from West Point, there's also a variety of other positions that will open up later on when you've been in the Army for a couple of years. So that's things like special forces, psychological operations, civil affairs. There's opportunities for Army officers to go to law school and become judge advocate attorneys in the Army. And there's a wide variety of other functional areas out there, things like working in embassies as a military advisor, great opportunities beyond just those that are listed on here immediately. Another thing that a lot of candidates don't know about at this point is that we have opportunities to go to medical school from West Point. So a small number of cadets every year graduate, go straight to medical school, and get all of that education paid for by the military to go and be a doctor in the Army afterwards. That's a great opportunity that's out there available to you from the time that you graduate as well. So a little bit more about the background and history of West Point and the Military Academy. So West Point was a historical location along the Hudson River that was used as a defensive position during the Revolutionary War. And this site had been continuously occupied since then. And so in 1802, President Jefferson and Congress established the United States Military Academy at West Point as the country's first military academy and as a school of engineering to make sure that the officers going into the regular Army had the necessary background and skills, whether it was surveying, foreign languages, tactics, all of those things that an officer needed to help the growing nation back then. So in 1817, Colonel Sylvanus Thayer came in, and he's regarded as the father of the military academy. He created the curriculum at West Point, and we still call our teaching style here the Thayer method. So those small classroom sizes and focus on the reading that cadets do outside of class. And West Point as the first military academy was ultimately the model for the United States Naval Academy that followed in 1845, and then finally the U.S. Air Force Academy, which originally was run by a few West Point graduates before when the Air Force was a brand new service. A lot of West Point graduates were running the Air Force Academy out there. And a legacy of leadership is what we try to do here. So like I said, leaders of character, and these are some of the examples of people who have done that. So we have kind of your famous household names: President Eisenhower, President Grant, General MacArthur, the typical West Point grad you might have seen in a history book leading the military. But there's also a wide variety of other graduates who've gone on to other careers outside of just being in the U.S. Army or another service branch. So we have people like Buzz Aldrin, who was on the first moon mission working with NASA. We've got A.J. Villanueva at the Pittsburgh Steelers, offensive tackle. He was a West Point graduate, played here, deployed in the Army, and then went into the NFL afterwards. We also have people like Coach K and Alex Gorski, coach at Duke and CEO of Johnson & Johnson. So whether it's in the military or in the private sector, government, any area, West Point graduates are going on to great things and giving back. So to talk about the cadet experience a little bit, we're going to go into this and break it down. These are the 4 pillars that we always talk about in cadet life. So there's academic, physical, military, and character. Those are the 4 key aspects that hold up what a West Point education means. And we're going to go into cadet life a little bit now. So terminology for those of you who are still learning about this place. There are our terms for the different classes are posted up here. So freshmen are called plebes, sophomores are yearlings, juniors are cows, and seniors are firsties. And if anybody out here knows the history of where these different terms come from, go ahead and drop those into the comments, and we can do a little education here about the history of this place and why we have these funny words for our different classes of cadets. Your typical day during the school week here, we're starting off at 5:20 is release from quarters. So that's time that cadets can get up. A lot of people go to the gym then. Depending on if you're on a certain sports team, you might have morning practice during that time. And then really at 6:50 is when we have our day really getting into gear with breakfast starting up then, getting all of the cadets outside into formation. And from 6:50 until about 4:15 in the afternoon is your class and study time with lunch in the middle. So that's going to whether it's any of your academic or PE classes, getting extra study time with your professors, going to the library, going to your chemistry lab, any of those kind of things are the bulk of your day there. With a couple of hours off, depending on the day, everyone's going to have an hour or two of free time during that as well. And then in the afternoon, starting at 4:15, we've got our athletics starting up. So every cadet is an athlete, whether you're doing an intramural sport, NCAA, D1 team, intercollegiate club, whatever it is, everyone's going to be doing some kind of practice or intramural competition in the afternoon after class. And then from there, we've got dinner time, which is mandatory on Thursdays, and the rest of your evening is your personal time. So whether that means studying, getting a group together in the barracks as a study group, going to the library, getting together with some friends to get a pizza or something. That time in the evening is yours to get prepared for the next day and the rest of the week, and to spend with your classmates there and build those relationships. So small class sizes, like I said before, most accessible professors, and a lot of that comes down to this number right here, 15 to 18. So that's the typical class size at West Point. Unlike a lot of other colleges where you might be in a lecture hall where you've got 100 other people in there, all sitting there trying to listen to one person talk, all of your classes are small enough where you get to engage with your professor there. And you might sometimes even have classes smaller than this, so you're really getting to know those professors, learn about the subject, and learn about them. And one of the great things that we do here is having a mix of civilian and military professors. So civilian professors, military professors who are active Army officers who just came back from being in an operational unit and are now working at West Point, as well as those who are permanently assigned to West Point to teach here for the remainder of their career. So you're getting a lot of different perspectives from the civilian academic side, from your military officers who just came back from being overseas or at an Army base, and then from those professors who have been here for a long time and have a lot of experience in the Army as more senior officers as well. And going into our majors, there's 36 different academic majors. We also have a variety of minors that are offered that aren't listed on here, but whatever subject it is you're interested in here, whether that means political science, engineering, econ, foreign languages, law, all these different subjects are available, and there's something here for everybody during their application. And going into what the academic journey looks like in the actual school years. So we can see there's a lot of core classes there. Those are the ones that are posted up in black on this slide. And that's things like not just math and calculus that you see there, but history, psychology, econ, geography, philosophy. So we give a liberal arts education where all cadets are getting a wide variety of different academic exposure. And then everyone who goes here is taking a strong curriculum in the sciences as well. So even if you end up being an English major, you're still going to be taking chemistry, physics, calculus. And as we move into our later years, you can see starting in sophomore year, that's when cadets are getting into their major courses more. And in your junior and senior year, more and more major courses, and that engineering sequence at the top as well is something where for all the cadets who aren't an engineering or science major, they're going to do a 3-course sequence of engineering. So for example, I was a French major. I did 3 courses of environmental engineering as part of my undergraduate time here. So for our sports, wide variety of sports. This is just our NCAA team, so the famous Army football team you all seen on TV. We also have teams like golf, baseball, basketball, rifle, cross country, softball, all kinds of great sports that are offered here. And if you're interested in playing a sport here, if you're not getting recruited right now but are interested, you can get in touch with Captain Jamal Olatunde. He's the point of contact for everything having to do with recruited athletes here, and you can reach out to the coaching staffs as well if you just want to get in touch with them and introduce yourself. A lot of cadets walk on to NCAA teams here too, which is a great thing, where even if you're not getting recruited, there's a lot of opportunities to walk on once you start your school year. In the club sports, you've also got a wide variety of teams that aren't necessarily NCAA teams, but you're still competing against other colleges across the country. So we've got our fencing, equestrian, marathon, triathlon, cycling, great variety of sports there to get into. And then finally our intramural sports for every cadet. If they're not in one of those intercollegiate teams, they're going to be doing one of these intramural sports each semester as a cadet. Soccer, handball, flag football, getting to build relationships with their company mates and get that competitive spirit into them. So a quick glance at what the 4-year military journey here looks like. So we're going to start off the first summer when you come in here. You just graduated from high school, and then in late June or early July, you arrive at West Point for your cadet basic training. So that's the time where you're learning the very basics of being in the military, learning how to march, how to salute, how to use your rifle, how to go to the range and shoot obstacle courses, and really just getting you to understand what it means to be in the Army and how to conduct yourself as a soldier from there. Following that, the next summer, going between freshman and sophomore year, we have cadet field training, which is 4 weeks of more advanced training, building on what you learned the previous summer. So more advanced marksmanship, going on patrols and practicing different operations in the woods and training areas out here at West Point, and really just getting to broaden your military abilities and exposure to the different branches of the Army as well. And then finally, the last 2 summers, you've got all of these things at the bottom listed, split up between each summer. So that's things like cadet leader development training, another just more advanced training building on that CFT, more advanced training here at West Point, cadet troop leader training, where every cadet who graduates from here is going to go to an active duty Army base in the country or abroad and get to shadow an active second lieutenant there, get to learn about what it's like to actually be a lieutenant in the operational Army and kind of put into place the leadership skills they've been learning when they were a cadet, get to go in front of real soldiers finally and show their leadership abilities. A training detail where every cadet is going to be leading either cadet basic training, cadet field training. So you're going to be going from that cadet who came in and the first day you're getting yelled at by the cadet in the red sash about what you're supposed to do and what you're doing wrong, and then a couple of years later you're going to be that cadet for the next classes coming in, teaching them the basics of what it means to be at West Point and how to be a soldier. We've also got individual advanced developments we're going to talk about on the next slide, and military qualification school. So a lot of great opportunities there. Airborne school, air assault, combat diver. One of the great things that I got to experience here as a cadet was that I went to air assault school going between my freshman and sophomore years. So a lot of great training that's sometimes hard to come by in the active Army. That's great for our cadets to make sure that they're as prepared as possible when they graduate from here. So to go more into these broadening opportunities, not just our military schools, but also semester abroad opportunities going to Brazil, China, France, Israel, other service academies in different countries, and getting to spend a semester abroad there. Some of them are military schools, some of them are civilian colleges as well, and then internships. This is one of the great things at West Point that I think cadets don't necessarily appreciate enough when you're going through it. It feels like everyone's going on some kind of cool internship, but you look back at it and think, wow, this is a really amazing opportunity I got here. So every summer, cadets are working at the White House, in congressional offices, at the FBI, NASA, CIA, going to private industry. Some examples of the things that I got to do here. I worked at the State Department one summer in Washington, D.C., and I went to France another summer and went to a language school on a French military base, completely immersed in the language over there. So a ton of great opportunities for internships out there, and I encourage anyone who's coming in here, make sure you try to track down as many of those as you can, because you're going to look back on those really positively. And finally, we're going to talk about what it takes to join the Long Gray Line, so what we're looking for in our applicants here. And bottom line, we're looking for well-rounded candidates with excellent academic ability, leadership potential, and overall fitness are the things that we're going to be looking for here. Bare minimum requirements to be able to apply to West Point. You must be a U.S. citizen when you arrive to West Point. So whether that means that you're a citizen by birth or naturalization, by the time that you show up here at West Point, you have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be between 17 and 23 years old the day that you enroll on the first day of your cadet basic training. And for those of you who are 17, that means that you're coming in with a parent's permission as well. You can't be married, pregnant, or have any legal obligations, child support obligations as well. So these are the minimum legal requirements to compete for a spot at West Point. Our steps to admission, first thing you're going to do, now this is only open right now for our seniors. It's a little late for them, as you can still open up an application as a senior, and then in January you juniors will be able to start doing this as well. So the basic things that go in the candidate questionnaire, social security number, where you live, where you go to school, sports you're in, your activities, and your test scores. So this is kind of just the basic thing. Put your name out there, and then from this point, once we give it a glance over, see that you're qualified and able to apply. From there, you'll receive your second step kit that's going to give you access to the rest of the application, and that's where you'll do things like turning in your letters of recommendation, doing your candidate fitness assessment that we're going to talk about later on, getting your transcripts in. All that kind of stuff will be in that second step kit that's mentioned down there at the bottom. Now, the whole candidate, we said that we look for well-rounded people. Here's the pie chart of how we consider you to be well-rounded. So 60% of your evaluation here is going to be academic. So everyone always wants to know, what's the biggest thing that I can do for my application? What can I do to make myself most competitive? Right there, your academics is the biggest piece of this pie here. Getting the best GPA that you can while you're in high school and taking your SAT or ACT with the essay section. And that's really the best way as you're going on through your years of high school. Your GPA is not going to be changing too much probably by the time that you're a junior, but you can still make a huge difference by retaking your SAT or ACT once you're applying. 30%, we've got our leadership section, so that's school official evaluations. We want to hear from 4 of your teachers in high school about your leadership ability, your character, your motivation in the classroom. You're going to have an interview with a member of the field force, a West Point graduate or community member in your area, or one of the admissions officers here. And then we're also going to look at what extracurricular activities you're participating in high school. And then finally, the candidate fitness assessment, that last 10%. So the candidate fitness assessment is something that all candidates are going to go through. It consists of 6 events. So we've got push-ups, sit-ups, mile run, shuttle run, basketball throw, and pull-ups are the different events on there. Now you can see that it's only 10% of the application. So it's the smallest piece of this pie. However, you must pass the candidate fitness assessment. So no matter how great your GPA is, you could have a 4.0 and a 1600 SAT, be president of every different group of your school, but if you're not passing that CFA, that's going to stop you from being able to get an offer to here. Another piece on the leadership aspect too is that we don't just want to see people who are doing a million different activities at school. You could be in every single club at school, not really doing anything above and beyond, but your name's just on a bunch of different lists at school. That's not what we're looking for. We want to see people who are really getting engaged in clubs and getting to show their leadership ability in those extracurricular activities. So if you're going to be on a sports team, try to be the captain of the team. If you're on the school newspaper or yearbook, go for that slot as being the editor of the paper. Try to be in your student body or president of a club. Those are the kind of things that we're looking for qualified candidates, not just the breadth of the activities, but the depth of them as well. So in addition to all of these things on this pie chart, that's what West Point's looking for just what we evaluate here. You must also qualify medically and receive a nomination to come to West Point outside of this application. And we're going to go into that a little bit more now too. So, medical qualification. We want you to come to West Point and be able to succeed here, and part of that is showing that you're healthy enough and medically fit to be in the United States Army, serve, and go through the physical challenges of an education here. So every candidate is going to go through the Department of Defense Medical Exam Review Board. That's the DOD-MERB that you'll hear about. And that'll schedule a bunch of medical appointments for you through doctors who are contracted in your area. You drive out to the appointment, and then the doctors will send your results to DOD-MERB. They give West Point an evaluation of whether or not you are medically qualified at the end of that process. Now, that deadline, it says on there, is April 15th. I would strongly encourage you to complete this well before April 15th. So if you're applying right now and haven't started scheduling your medical exams, get on those right now, because every year we have a couple of candidates who might be perfectly good to come here, but they wait too long to start their medical, don't get medically qualified in time because the paperwork takes too long, or we have candidates who you can be disqualified, but in certain cases we can offer waivers to competitive candidates who really want to get here. So if you have to get a waiver, it's much better to be in that waiver conversation now than in April, where we're having to send you back to get more medical exams and you might not have your waiver in time to join the class in July. And nominations. So nominations, there are two types of them, two broad types: service-connected and congressional. So our service-connected nominations are for those of you who are children of career military members, children of 100% disabled veterans or deceased veterans, enlisted members of the U.S. Army and Army Reserve, and for people who are in ROTC and junior ROTC programs at their college or high school. So those are open only to those people who have those specific connections. That's one route to get a nomination. The primary way that people get nominations, though, is through the congressional nominations on the right side. So every member of Congress has the opportunity to nominate up to 10 candidates for the U.S. Military Academy. Every candidate's eligible to apply for their U.S. House of Representatives member in their district, the 2 senators from their state, and then the vice president's office. And we encourage everybody, whether you're applying for service-connected nominations or only for the congressional ones, apply for all 4 of those that are listed there: your congressman, 2 senators, and vice president. And every congressional office has their own nomination requirements. So if you're looking at applying, I encourage you to check out your member of Congress's website. You can go to house.gov or senate.gov and find them, or just type in your congressman or senator's name, and somewhere on their website they'll usually have something that says constituent services, student services, something like that, and it'll list out their what they're looking for in their nomination. So you have an application that goes to your congressman to decide who they want to nominate to come here, as well as the application that you're actually sending into West Point. So two separate processes. Make sure you're applying for those nominations. Finally, just go over our application strategy. Encourage you to be proactive and complete everything early. It's always better to have things done ahead of time, where if there was an issue with something and you need to go back and make it up, you have that opportunity to go and make up those missing parts of your application. Give me 1 second. We might have some technical problems here. Okay. Hopefully you can hear me again now. Going back into the slides here. Apply for all your available nomination sources, train for and take that candidate fitness assessment. Prepare for it ahead of time. Don't make the first time that you take it be the one that you're doing for record. Try to get some practice in. And then study and prepare for your SAT and ACT. Retake those. If you can get your score up, keep retaking. Try to get your scores as high as you can. Seek opportunities to demonstrate your leadership in your community, at your school, and get in touch with your local field force members, because those are people who are going to help you out the application process. They can administer your CFA, interview you, and they're just great resources to have in your area to teach you about West Point. So the application deadline, January 31st. Try to get it done before then, but that is the absolute deadline for when everything has to be received. And then the medical deadline is going to be April 15th for that medical qualification. So before you open up your application, these are the things to ask yourself. Are you a leader? Are you mentally tough? Are you physically fit? Do you want this kind of challenge in your life? Is this something you want to push yourself to do? And are you interested in a career being an Army officer after graduation, getting the opportunity to lead our great soldiers and non-commissioned officers as a lieutenant in the U.S. Army? And finally, the last thing I want to talk about here, big point, Summer Leaders Experience. This is a week-long program that we offer each summer for candidates to come to West Point, spend a week here, and just kind of see what the atmosphere is like. So going to classes, military training, physical fitness, athletics, and it's really just an immersion in what it's like to be a cadet at West Point. This application opens up for you juniors. Will open up in January. So once January starts rolling around, make sure you check out westpoint.edu and apply for Summer Leaders Experience. It's a great way to learn about what it means to be a cadet, get a sense of if you like this environment here, besides your chances to visit classes. So we're still planning on hosting Summer Leaders Experience this upcoming summer at this point. I encourage everyone to apply for that, put their name in. It's a great opportunity. To apply for this, you must have your standardized test scores as well, some kind of test score at that point to apply for a spot at Summer Leaders Experience. So for those of you who are still here, I encourage you, you're already on the Facebook page right now or the YouTube page, but you can find us on any of these, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, West Point Admissions, and at westpoint.edu/admissions as well to get in touch with us. Reach out to your admissions officer, your field force members, and find their names up there on westpoint.edu/admissions if you want to get in touch with us. So at this point, that concludes the formal presentation here. We're turning it over for questions now. So I'm going to start going into the comment box and try to pull up some questions here we can answer. So I see one question from Vinyan Lee talking about the admission process for international candidates. So we are intending to have international candidates come here. We've had international candidates come in the last year. So that's going to be something to get in touch with your U.S. Embassy and your country about for if they're sponsoring cadets to international cadets to come to West Point from the specific country you're in. We have a certain list of countries that the offers go to every year. So that's something you can get in touch with your embassy about. See, Alexander here said, can we dual major? Yes, you can be a double major here. So depending on what majors you're doing, sometimes it's easier